In the history of mankind, there are figures who have a great influence in shaping civilization and moral values. One of the most influential figures in history is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's not only a spiritual leader, but also a role model in everyday life. Through his teachings and behavior, the Prophet Muhammad has provided clear guidance on how to live a life that is meaningful and in accordance with the principles of justice, compassion, and truth. The Prophet Muhammad was born into the family of the Banu Hashim, which was one of the honorable tribes in Mecca. Who are the parents of the Prophet? What events accompanied the birth of the Prophet? And what story happened when the Prophet was still a baby? Find the answer in this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment so that this channel continues to grow. In the middle of a vast and arid desert, where the gentle whispering wind brings dust and sand, there is a city known as Mecca. The city, although small, was a commercial and spiritual center for the Arab tribes. It was here, in the womb of a noble woman, Amina bint Wahb, that a great destiny was about to be born. However, before the story begins, let's trace the trail that takes us to the moments before the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. In the city of Mecca, which is full of ancient traditions and beliefs, two figures were born who would become the parents of a prophet who would change the world. They are Abdullah bin Abdul Muttalib and Amina bint Wahb. Their story is a story of love, sacrifice, and hope intertwined in divine destiny. Abdullah was the son of Abd al-Muttalib, the chief of the Quraysh tribe. He came from a respectable and wealthy family which had great influence in Mecca. Since childhood, Abdullah has been known as a kind and affectionate figure. Abdullah is known as a gentle and loving figure. He always treated the people around him well, including the slaves and the poor. Despite coming from a wealthy family, Abdullah did not hesitate to work hard. He is involved in the trade and always strives to provide the best for his family. He highly respected the traditions and values of the Quraysh community, but also had an open view to change. Amina was the daughter of Wahb bin Abd Manaf, a respected tribal leader. She is known as a beautiful, intelligent, and noble woman. Amina had great wisdom. She often gave advice to her husband and those around him. As a wife and mother-to-be, Amina loves Abdullah very much and always prays for the happiness of her family. Amina has a closeness to God and often worships. He believes that the child he will give birth to will bring great changes to mankind. Amina lives a life full of love and hope. He takes care of his household with affection and always strives to create a harmonious atmosphere. The meeting of Abdullah and Amina was a destiny determined by Allah. They met at a tribal festival where Abdullah was captivated by Amina's beauty and elegance. Their love grew rapidly, and they decided to get married. Their wedding was held with joy. Family and friends gather to celebrate their love. Abdullah and Amina promised to love each other and support each other in joys and sorrows. They build a harmonious household. Abdullah often brought home stories from his trade trips, while Amina always listened attentively. They shared dreams and hopes for the future of their children. In the period before the birth of the Prophet, the Arab community in Makkah attached great importance to names that had certain meanings and hopes. Names often reflect the traits or desires expected of the child being born. At the time, the names commonly given to children did not necessarily reflect positive traits, but often contained an element of strength or courage. The Prophet Muhammad was born on Monday, 12th Rabiul Awwal, year of the elephant, 570 AD. However, when the birth of the Prophet arrived, there was a special desire to give a name that had a deeper meaning and was full of blessings. According to the history recorded in Islamic history, the father of the Prophet Muhammad, Abdullah bin Abdul Muttalib, died before the Prophet was born. The Prophet's mother, Amina bint Wahb, also did not give a name to the baby. The name of Muhammad was given by the Prophet's grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, after performing istikhara or prayer to ask Allah SWT for guidance regarding the right name. Abdul Muttalib was a wise man and was highly respected in Makkah. He received instructions from Allah to give the name Muhammad. The reason behind giving the name Muhammad to Abdul Muttalib's grandson, which differed from the names commonly used among Quraysh families. When Abdul Muttalib chose the name Muhammad for his grandson, he did so with great hope. This name was chosen not only because of its uniqueness and beauty, but because Abdul Muttalib hoped that his grandson would get praise from Allah in the sky and be respected by all creatures on earth. The name Muhammad, which means the praiseworthy, is a prayer and hope that the Prophet Muhammad will be known and appreciated. The Prophet had several names. In the Hadith, he said, "Indeed, I have several names. I am Muhammad, I am Ahmad, I am Mahi, the destroyer, sent by Allah to abolish disbelief. I am Hashimir, the gatherer, who gathers those under my rule, and I am Aqib." According to Az-Zuri, the name Aqib means the last prophet, indicating that no prophet will come after him. Ibn Sa'ad's narration adds another name, Al-Khatim, which means closing in a prophetic context. Ar-Rahmah, messenger of mercy, as mentioned in the Muslim narration. In addition, in the narration of At-Tirmidhi, he is also referred to as Nabi al-Malahim, the messenger in charge of unifying. There is also a story that tells that the mother of the Prophet, Amina bint Wahb, was given instructions to name her son Ahmad. In an authentic narration, Ali bin Abi Talib revealed that the Prophet once said, "I am given the name Ahmad." Another narration from Ibn Ishaq and al-Bayhaqi mentions that Amina was once visited by someone who suggested that the child to be born be named Muhammad. The person informed him that the name was the name mentioned in the Torah and the Gospel as Ahmad, and hoped that with this name, the Messenger of Allah would be praised by all the inhabitants of heaven and earth. After giving birth, Amina named her baby Muhammad according to the instructions. Abdul Muttalib, upon hearing this decision, expressed his happiness through verses reflecting gratitude and recognition of the name that had been given, emphasizing that Ahmad's name had become widely known among people. During the birth of the Prophet Muhammad, there were several important events that accompanied him. In the middle of the dark night, in the silent city of Makkah, a star shone brightly in the sky. Inside a modest house, a woman named Amina was feeling stronger contractions. She was Abdullah's wife, and tonight was the night she had been waiting for, the night where she will give birth to a child who will one day change the world. Amina held the hand of her mother, who faithfully accompanied her. "Mom, I feel like something special is going to happen," she said in a trembling voice. His mother smiled. "My son, every birth is a miracle. However, I felt something deeper tonight. Outside, the wind blows softly, bringing the scent of blooming flowers. Suddenly, a rumbling sound sounded from the distance. It was as if the universe felt the presence of something extraordinary. In Persia, far from Makkah, the Magi gathered around their holy fire. The fire had been burning for 1,000 years, becoming a symbol of their strength and trust. However, tonight, at the birth of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, the fire began to tremble. One of the Magi priests, Zoroaster, felt that something was wrong. "What happened? This fire must not be extinguished," he shouted. However, along with that shout, the majestic blazing flames suddenly went out. Darkness enveloped their sanctuary, and the priests were shocked, looking at each other in horror. "This is a bad omen," exclaimed one of the pastors. "Our power is coming to an end." That night, not only the Magi fire was extinguished. In various parts of the world, there are small earthquakes, and strange noises are heard. People began to feel that something extraordinary was happening. In Makkah, merchants and townspeople felt the tremors on the ground. They gathered in the square, talking about the news of the birth of an extraordinary baby. "Did you hear? A baby has been born, and many strange signs have occurred," exclaimed a merchant. Some trees that had previously not borne fruit suddenly bore fruit at the time of his birth. Another event accompanying the birth is the birth known as the Year of the Elephant. The birth of the Prophet Muhammad occurred in the year known as the Year of the Elephant, which refers to the attack of Abraha, the king of Yemen, who wanted to destroy the Kaaba with an army of elephants. However, the attack failed and was considered a sign of Allah's protection of the Kaaba. After being born, the Prophet Muhammad was breastfed by his mother, and then he was breastfed by a milkmaid named Suwaiba for several days. Suwaiba was a slave of Abu Lahab, the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad. Furthermore, Abdul Muttalib also found a nursing mother for his beloved grandson. At that time, Arabs living in urban areas had a tradition of entrusting their babies to village women. The baby will be well cared for and breastfed. In return, the village women will get a previously agreed wage. This is done as a preventive measure for the baby. The urban climate of Arabia is not good for a baby, so in the past, Arabs chose to entrust their babies to rural women and be cared for in the villages, so that the baby's health is maintained and grows strong. This was also experienced by the Prophet Muhammad when he was a baby. She was once cared for and breastfed by a village woman from the Sa'ad bin Bakr tribe named Halima as-Siddiya bint Abu Zuaib. Little Muhammad lived in the village of the Sa'ad tribe until the age of 4, some say until the age of 5. One day, Halima and the women of the Sa'ad Kabila village went to the city of Mecca to offer their breastfeeding services. On the way to the city, she was also accompanied by her husband, Haritza, and her 2 infant children. The 4 of them ride a greenish-white female donkey and an old camel, in another version, a 2-year-old camel. Along the way, Halima's family felt so miserable. Besides the vehicle in a weak condition, the 2 babies also continued to cry. Even if I can't sleep at night, because the 2 babies still keep crying. Halima's breast milk did not come out at all, nor did the old camel she brought, not a drop of milk to be milked. They could only hope for a miracle that changed their current condition. Upon arriving in Makkah, the women of the Sa'ad tribe village also looked for the babies they wanted to breastfeed. But unfortunately, of the many women that existed, none of them wanted to bring the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, to be breastfed. This is natural, because the condition of the Prophet who was orphaned made them not glance at all. They are worried that they will not be able to get enough wages if they breastfeed an orphaned child. All the women have had babies, and all agree to return to the village. However, again misfortune befell Halima's family, only she herself had not had a baby. Maybe because Halima's condition was not convincing. To breastfeed the child alone cannot be. However, because she did not want to go home empty-handed, Halima finally agreed with her husband to take the orphan named Muhammad. Unexpectedly, as soon as the baby was accepted and the wrapping cloth was opened, Halima saw it full of amazement. The baby's glowing face made him so amazed because it was the first time he had an extraordinary baby. In this case, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has planned good for Halima's family. When the baby apostle was already in Halima's lap, a miracle began to be felt. Both of her breasts seemed to react to breastfeed the baby on her lap. Her breast milk was suddenly filled with milk. The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, was able to breastfeed with fullness. Not only that, the 2 babies who had never stopped crying could also breastfeed until they were full and could sleep soundly. Not only are Halima's 2 breast milk full, but her donkey and old camel are also the same. The milk is abundant, even those that were originally thin instantly become fat and strong on the journey. Halima and her husband can also quench their thirst, and at night they can rest on the way. Everyone can be full and sleep soundly, unlike the previous nights. Since then, blessings have been abundant, not only to Halima's family, but also to her family. In the morning, they continued their journey to the village. Again, a miracle was experienced by Halima's family. The donkey they were riding drove away so fast, even defeated another group riding a red camel. Red camels are the best breed of camels. The rest of the group was astonished. The donkey that was weak and the road was very slow now drove fast to beat their best vehicle. There was something on the donkey. They thought. Arriving in the village, Halima's family had not finished experiencing the strangeness. The condition of the village that is in a famine makes it difficult to find grass, and their livestock are thin and do not produce milk to be milked. But not with Halima's goats. His goats secrete so much milk that it can be expressed many times. Seeing the strangeness, the villagers took the initiative to follow their goats wherever Halima's goats were grazed. But still, their goats are thin and do not produce milk. Meanwhile, Halima's goats continue to contain milk and can be milked many times to drink. 2 years passed. Muhammad grew up to be a healthy and strong child, not even like children in general. Previously, it had been agreed that little Muhammad was only breastfed by Halima for 2 years. Time flies so fast. 2 years of Muhammad's breastfeeding period passed. Muhammad grew up as a healthy and well-behaved child. Now, it is time for her to be weaned from breastfeeding. Halima weaned her and brought her back to her mother, Amina. However, When she came to Amina, Halima's heart was so heavy, parting with Muhammad. He loved Muhammad as much as his own son. Halima also asked Amina for permission for Muhammad to stay in her house for some more time. Amina also gave permission. The permit was given by Amina because at that time the city of Mecca was being hit by an outbreak of disease. Muhammad was better off staying outside the city of Mecca for a while. Finally, Muhammad returned to live in the midst of Halima's family. When he was 5 years and 1 month old, Muhammad was returned to his mother, Amina. That is the story of the Prophet before and after he was born. Hopefully, we can take lessons from this story. That's the video this time. See you in the next video.